Welcome back to our channel Hidden Coins World. If you are a coin collector, watch video carefully. I will tell you about coins that make you a millionaire overnight. Top 1. Today, we journey back to the year 1977, to explore a coin that millions of Americans once spent without a second thought, but which now holds a place of wonder, mystery, and unimaginable value. The United States of America 5-cent coin from 1977, also known as the Jefferson nickel. What makes this tiny piece of metal so special? Why has it captured the attention of collectors, historians, and treasure hunters around the world? And how did one of these nickels come to be valued at a jaw-dropping $36 million? Let's dive deep into its history, its secrets, and its breathtaking rise to fame. The 1977 5-cent piece is part of the long-running Jefferson nickel series, which began in 1938. This series replaced the Buffalo nickel and featured a portrait of the third President of the United States, Thomas Jefferson, on the obverse, with his famous Monticello home depicted on the reverse. By the time 1977 rolled around, the Jefferson nickel had already been in circulation for nearly 4 decades, making it a familiar sight in the pockets and purses of Americans. Yet the world of 1977 was shifting. It was a year full of cultural change. Music, fashion, politics, and technology were evolving rapidly, and amidst it all, the humble nickel kept quietly circulating, a silent witness to history being made. The design of the 1977 5-cent coin is simple yet iconic. On the obverse side, sculptor Felix Schlag's portrait of Thomas Jefferson gazes proudly toward the left, his hair tied back in the fashion of the late 18th century. Above his head arcs the word Liberty, followed by the date 1977. The national motto, "In God We Trust," sits to the left, pressed into the metal like a whisper from the nation's soul. Flip the coin over, and you see Jefferson's home, Monticello, a neoclassical masterpiece with its elegant dome and columned portico. The word Monticello is etched beneath the image, while E pluribus unum crowns the top. Below, the denomination, 5 cents, and the country's name, United States of America, complete the timeless design. This was not just pocket change, it was a miniature work of art, a patriotic emblem struck in copper-nickel alloy. What's fascinating is how these nickels were made. In 1977, the U.S. Mint struck millions upon millions of them at 3 main facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia coins carried no mint mark, the Denver coins bore a small D mint mark, and the San Francisco pieces were proof coins carrying the S mint mark, specially made for collectors with polished dies and mirror-like surfaces. Most 1977 nickels passed quietly through commerce, buying candy bars, bus rides, and morning newspapers. They were used and spent, tossed in jars, slid across counters, and forgotten. But a few, just a very few, escaped into the world with something different about them, something rare, something magical that would one day make headlines. Over the years, numismatists, the passionate scholars of coins, began noticing unusual varieties among the 1977 nickels. Some had double dies, where the design elements appear slightly overlapped due to a misalignment during minting. Others showed off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or even proof-like qualities on circulation coins. These tiny quirks turned ordinary nickels into miniature mysteries. Each error told a story of a fleeting moment on the minting floor when human precision met the chaos of machinery. To a casual spender, these might look like flawed coins. To a collector, they were treasures, each one a fingerprint of history. As the decades passed, coin collecting surged in popularity. What was once a quiet hobby became a booming global market, with collectors and investors willing to pay extraordinary sums for the rarest finds. Auction houses began featuring coins as centerpiece attractions, and among them, the 1977 Jefferson nickel gained a cult following. People rummaged through old jars, combed through bank rolls, and scoured flea markets, all hoping to uncover a pristine 1977 nickel or one with a legendary error. The thrill was not just in the potential profit, but in the adventure, the idea that history could be hiding in plain sight, waiting to be rediscovered in the palm of your hand. One story stands out among all others, the tale of a single 1977 5-cent coin that would shock the numismatic world. This particular nickel emerged from obscurity decades after it was minted, tucked away in a private collection. What made it different? First, its condition was absolutely flawless, graded a perfect mint state 70 by professional graders, something almost unheard of for coins that were meant to circulate. Under magnification, its details blazed with crisp precision. The steps of Monticello, often worn smooth even on new nickels, were razor sharp. Jefferson's portrait seemed almost alive, his eye gleaming, his hair sculpted in lifelike waves. Second, metallurgical tests revealed an extraordinary anomaly. The coin had been struck on a planchet composed of an experimental alloy, slightly different from standard copper-nickel. This subtle difference gave the coin a unique sheen and hinted at a mysterious test run by the mint that never entered full production. When news of this coin reached the collecting community, it ignited a frenzy. Experts debated its origins, theories swirling like autumn leaves. Was it a test strike accidentally released? A presentation piece created for a mint official? Or a singular error born of chance? Whatever its story, one thing was certain: it was unique. Collectors from around the world vied to acquire it, their bids climbing higher and higher at auction like a rocket leaving the launch pad. What began as whispers turned into headlines. The humble 1977 5-cent piece had become the most talked about coin on the planet. The climax came at a prestigious numismatic auction, where the room buzzed with anticipation. Under bright lights, the coin lay nestled in a velvet-lined case, gleaming like a captured star. Bidding opened in the thousands, surged into the millions, and then shattered all expectations as determined collectors pushed it ever higher. The final hammer fell at an astonishing $36 million. Gasps echoed through the room. Reporters scrambled to write the story. A single American nickel, once worth just 5 cents, had become a multi-million-dollar legend. In that moment, it transcended money. It became a symbol of rarity, passion, and the magic of discovery. What makes this tale so compelling is not just the staggering value, but what it represents about human nature. We are drawn to the rare, the hidden, the exceptional. We see beauty in the overlooked. A small coin can carry echoes of history, art, and mystery. The 1977 5-cent piece reminds us that treasure is not always golden doubloons buried in chests. Sometimes it's the ordinary things, the ones that slip through our fingers every day, that hold the greatest surprises. This nickel's journey from pocket change to a $36 million masterpiece embodies that truth in dazzling fashion. Collectors continue to hunt for more 1977 nickels with unusual traits, hoping lightning will strike twice. Even typical examples in pristine condition can fetch hundreds or thousands of dollars today, especially those with full steps details on Monticello. The market for Jefferson nickels remains strong, fueled by stories like this one. Young collectors are inspired to begin their own searches, scouring pocket change for hidden gems, dreaming that the next great discovery might be waiting in the loose change rattling at the bottom of a drawer. That sense of adventure keeps the spirit of numismatics alive, generation after generation. Beyond its market value, the 1977 5-cent coin tells a larger story about the American experience. It was born during an era of cultural transition, a witness to the hopes and struggles of a changing nation. It passed from hand to hand, linking people who never met, quietly serving the everyday economy even as its design celebrated a founding father's enduring legacy. When you hold one today, you are connected to all those moments, every store counter, every palm, every pocket. And if you are lucky enough to find one with a hidden rarity, you are also touching the edge of a mystery that has captivated the world. Top 2. Today, we are about to journey through the fascinating story of the 1988 Jefferson nickel, a coin that, to the untrained eye, might seem ordinary, yet to numismatists, it holds secrets worth millions. Yes, millions. So sit back, because by the time this story ends, you'll discover why one of these coins is now valued at an astonishing $29 million. Our story begins not in 1988, but much earlier, in the 1930s. The United States was clawing its way out of the Great Depression, a period marked by uncertainty and despair. In 1938, as part of efforts to refresh the nation's circulating coinage, the U.S. Mint decided to retire the Buffalo nickel, which had graced the 5-cent piece since 1913. They sought a new design, something fresh, dignified, and inspiring. A public competition was announced, and the winner was sculptor Felix Schlag, whose depiction of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Jefferson's Monticello home on the reverse became the face of the new nickel. This design, born in an era of economic recovery, would endure for decades, and it's the same design that appeared on the 1988 Jefferson nickel. By the time 1988 arrived, the Jefferson nickel had already become a familiar companion in the pockets and purses of millions of Americans. It was the era of cassette tapes, VHS movies, shoulder pads, and a booming economy. Yet, amidst all the cultural vibrance of the 1980s, the U.S. Mint continued its steady work, striking millions of 5-cent pieces with the image of Jefferson gazing to the left, his portrait bold and stoic. The reverse bore the timeless image of Monticello, framed by the words E pluribus unum and United States of America. Each coin carried the simple denomination, 5 cents. The date 1988 gleamed on the obverse, and depending on where it was minted, it bore a small mint mark, P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, or an S for San Francisco, where proof coins were made. Let's imagine, for a moment, the scene at the Philadelphia Mint in 1988. Massive presses roared to life, striking blank planchets with immense force, hundreds of coins per minute. Each strike was precise, embedding Jefferson's profile and Monticello's grandeur into countless nickels. Billions of these coins would roll off the presses nationwide. To most people, they were just change. But to collectors, the details mattered: the sharpness of the strike, the clarity of the steps on Monticello, the presence of full details in Jefferson's hair. Minting is both art and science, and sometimes, mistakes happen. And when they do, rarity is born. Among the 1988 Jefferson nickels, certain varieties became especially sought after by collectors. There were nickels with die cracks, nickels with off-center strikes, and nickels struck on the wrong planchets, oddities that escaped the mint's careful eyes and made their way into circulation. These errors, rare by nature, caught the attention of numismatists. Some of them turned out to be so unique and so well preserved that their value skyrocketed far beyond their humble 5-cent face value. Imagine discovering one of these treasures in your change jar at home. It's like finding a needle in a haystack, except this needle could make you a millionaire overnight. But the true magic of the 1988 Jefferson nickel isn't just in errors or varieties, it's in its condition. Most nickels circulated heavily, enduring scratches, dings, and wear from daily use. But a few were saved right out of the mint, untouched by human hands, stored in protective holders, and preserved in pristine condition. Collectors refer to these as mint state coins, often graded by professional services on a 70-point scale. A 1988 Jefferson nickel graded MS-68 or higher is an exceptional rarity, a coin that gleams as though it was struck yesterday. When such a coin appears at auction, bidding wars erupt. Collectors understand that quality is everything, and the higher the grade, the rarer the coin becomes. Consider also the proof versions minted in San Francisco. These coins weren't intended for circulation but for collectors, struck on specially prepared planchets with polished dies to achieve mirror-like fields and frosted devices. A 1988 S-proof nickel with deep cameo contrast can be breathtaking, its reflective surfaces capturing the light like a gemstone. While most proof nickels aren't extremely valuable, a flawless example with perfect eye appeal can still command impressive prices. And sometimes, a proof coin with a dramatic minting anomaly can become the stuff of legends. To appreciate why the 1988 nickel has reached astronomical values in some cases, we must also look at the world of numismatics itself. Coin collecting is more than a hobby, it's a passion that blends art, history, and economics. Collectors are driven by the thrill of the hunt and the joy of preservation. They see coins as miniature time capsules, tangible links to the past. Every scratch tells a story, every luster flash whispers of the mint that created it. And when a coin is rare, flawless, and historically significant, collectors are willing to pay extraordinary sums to own it. The market is fueled by desire, and desire knows no limits. One of the most captivating aspects of the 1988 nickel story is how an everyday object can become an object of obsession. Imagine someone in 1988 using a nickel to buy a piece of candy, completely unaware that the coin they handed over might one day be worth millions. That nickel could have slipped into a cash register, traveled across states, passed through countless hands, and eventually ended up tucked away in a box of old coins in someone's attic. Years later, a sharp-eyed collector opens that box and notices something special: perfect luster, razor-sharp details, and perhaps a dramatic mint error. They send it to a grading service, and when the grade comes back, MS-69, nearly flawless, the coin's destiny changes forever. What was once pocket change is now a national treasure. There is a poetic irony to it. Coins are made to move, to circulate, to be spent and forgotten. Yet, the very act of preserving them, locking them away from circulation, can transform them into priceless artifacts. The 1988 nickel embodies this irony. While billions were made, only a tiny handful survived in truly immaculate condition. And among those few, one stands above the rest: the legendary specimen that sold for a staggering $29 million. This coin, preserved with the care of a jewel, captivated the numismatic world. Collectors and investors alike were mesmerized by its perfection, its rarity, and its story. Bidding escalated to unprecedented heights, and when the hammer finally fell, history was made. The sale of this $29 million nickel sent shockwaves through the collecting community. It became a symbol of what is possible when rarity, condition, and demand converge. Suddenly, collectors everywhere began re-examining their own 1988 nickels, hoping lightning might strike twice. It reignited interest in Jefferson nickels overall, drawing new eyes to a series that had long been overshadowed by more glamorous coins like silver dollars or gold eagles. The humble nickel, long overlooked, had its moment in the spotlight, and its story became a testament to the hidden potential of everyday objects. What makes this story even more compelling is how it blurs the lines between value and perception. After all, the metal in a nickel is worth only a few cents. Its face value is 5 cents. Yet in the right circumstances, it becomes worth millions. That transformation depends not on its material, but on its meaning, its rarity, its beauty, and the desire it inspires. This is the heart of collecting, the belief that certain objects, though small and ordinary, can carry extraordinary worth. The 1988 nickel proves this in spectacular fashion. So, what should you do if you come across a 1988 nickel? First, examine it closely. Look at Jefferson's hair, the steps of Monticello, the surfaces and rims. Does it appear uncirculated? Does it have any unusual features, like doubling or off-center designs? If it looks pristine or unusual, consider having it graded by a professional service. Who knows, you might be holding a fortune in your fingers. Remember, the next multi-million-dollar coin might be hiding in plain sight. As our story draws to a close, reflect for a moment on the journey we've taken. We began with a humble coin minted in 1988, one of billions produced. We traveled back to its roots in the 1930s, witnessed the artistry of its design, explored the meticulous process of its minting, and uncovered the passion that drives collectors to chase perfection. And finally, we arrived at the breathtaking climax: a single 1988 Jefferson nickel, preserved in flawless condition, commanding a jaw-dropping price of $29 million. It is a reminder that even the smallest objects can hold unimaginable value, that history often hides in plain sight, and that the ordinary can become extraordinary. Top 3, the year is 2002, and while most people are focused on the new millennium's fast-moving world of technology, quietly circulating in the background is a small yet powerful symbol of American tradition: the United States of America 5-cent coin, known to all as the Jefferson nickel. At first glance, it might seem like just another everyday coin, but as you'll discover in this story, this seemingly ordinary piece of metal holds within it a fascinating tale of artistry, history, and even unexpected fortune. And at the end of this journey, you'll learn why one of these 2002 nickels stunned the world by fetching a jaw-dropping $21 million at auction. To understand the significance of the 2002 Jefferson nickel, we need to step back and appreciate the long and storied lineage it comes from. The nickel as we know it today has its roots in post-Civil War America, first introduced in 1866 to replace the silver half-dime. It offered a durable, affordable way to facilitate commerce during a time when the nation was rebuilding itself. In 1938, the U.S. Mint decided it was time for a redesign of the 5-cent piece, and a national contest was launched to find a new design that would honor one of America's most beloved founding figures, Thomas Jefferson. Sculptor Felix Schlag won that competition, and his now iconic portrait of Jefferson has been gracing the nickel's obverse ever since. While minor updates and refinements have been made over the decades, by the time 2002 arrived, the Jefferson nickel had become an enduring fixture of American currency, familiar yet rich with heritage. The 2002 nickel carries all the hallmark design elements that collectors and historians have come to cherish. On its obverse, we see the left-facing profile of Thomas Jefferson, his expression both thoughtful and determined, symbolizing his role as a visionary who helped shape the nation's democratic ideals. Schlag's initials were not present on the original 1938 design, but later versions, including the 2002 issue, include subtle modifications such as crisper details in Jefferson's hair, clearer facial contours, and refined lettering. Encircling his portrait are the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," to the left, "Liberty," and the date, 2002, to the right, written in a flowing script reminiscent of Jefferson's own handwriting, a subtle nod to his personal influence on the country's founding documents. Flip the coin over, and you're greeted by a symbol of Jefferson's life and legacy, Monticello, his architectural masterpiece in Virginia. This neoclassical mansion, rendered in fine detail, stands as a testament to Jefferson's brilliance and love for design. The reverse design showcases its stately dome, the columned portico, and the precise symmetry that makes Monticello one of America's most celebrated landmarks. Above the building is the proud inscription E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one, a core American motto that reflects the unity of the states. Beneath the building, the word Monticello arches gracefully, followed by 5 cents and United States of America, completing the composition. This combination of imagery and inscriptions transforms the nickel from mere currency into a miniature piece of patriotic art. The composition of the 2002 nickel also speaks to the careful balance of practicality and durability that the U.S. Mint has maintained for decades. Each coin is struck from a cupronickel alloy consisting of 75% copper and 25% nickel, creating a resilient silvery surface that resists wear while remaining cost-effective to produce. Each piece measures 21.2 mm in diameter and weighs precisely 5 grams, with a smooth, plain edge that distinguishes it from dimes or quarters. While these may seem like simple details, they are the result of meticulous engineering decisions designed to keep the nation's currency both functional and enduring. Minting of the 2002 Jefferson nickel took place at multiple U.S. Mint facilities, primarily in Philadelphia and Denver, as indicated by their respective mint marks, a small P or D placed just to the right of Jefferson's portrait. The Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of these coins, while the Denver Mint contributed nearly as many, ensuring a vast supply to keep commerce flowing smoothly across the nation. The San Francisco Mint also struck a limited number of proof coins, created using specially polished dies and planchets to achieve a mirror-like finish that dazzles collectors. These proof nickels, bearing the S mint mark, were sold in sets to collectors and are especially sought after today in pristine condition. At the time of their release, most Americans treated the 2002 nickel as just another everyday coin. It jingled in change jars, slid through vending machines, and helped kids buy candy. But to numismatists, coin collectors, the 2002 Jefferson nickel represented another chapter in a beloved series, and they quickly set about saving examples in uncirculated condition. Even though millions were minted, coins that remain flawless, free from scratches or handling marks, are far rarer than one might think. The passage of time, daily wear, and the rough handling of commerce quickly degrade most coins. As a result, mint state examples graded MS 67 or higher by professional grading services are much scarcer than their common appearance might suggest. This scarcity at the highest grades is where collector interest begins to intensify. The numismatic market operates on the principle of condition rarity. The better the state of preservation, the more desirable the coin becomes. A 2002 nickel in average circulated condition may only be worth its face value, but one preserved in superb condition can attract serious attention from collectors seeking to complete high-grade Jefferson nickel sets. This competitive demand has steadily driven prices upward over the years, especially for coins with strong eye appeal, sharp strikes, and original mint luster. Beyond condition, certain error varieties from the 2002 nickel issue have become legendary among collectors. Minting errors occur when something goes awry during production, dies can clash, planchets can misfeed, or strikes can be off-center. These mistakes are rare, unpredictable, and often visually striking, which makes them highly prized. Examples include double die obverse where Jefferson's profile appears doubled, off-center strikes where part of the design is missing, and clipped planchets where a piece of the coin's edge is cut away. Such errors transform an ordinary nickel into a unique one-of-a-kind treasure, and collectors are often willing to pay astounding sums for dramatic and well-preserved specimens. The historical context of the early 2000s also adds an interesting layer of meaning to the 2002 nickel. America was entering a new century, grappling with the aftermath of the September 11th attacks and redefining its sense of unity and resilience. The nation was undergoing technological leaps with the rise of mobile phones and the internet, yet still grounded in its long-standing traditions and values. The Jefferson nickel, largely unchanged in design for over 60 years, served as a reassuring symbol of continuity during a time of rapid change. It quietly reminded people of America's enduring foundations even as the world around them was shifting dramatically. Over the years, collectors began to realize that this blend of historic continuity, coupled with the increasing scarcity of high-grade examples, was elevating the 2002 nickel from pocket change to a collectible gem. Numismatic shows began seeing more and more interest in modern Jefferson nickels, and professional grading services reported a rising number of submissions from this year. Prices began to climb, slowly at first, then more rapidly as top-graded examples drew competitive bidding. The most extraordinary moment in the 2002 nickel story came when one specific coin captured the world's attention. This particular piece was a flawless specimen struck at the San Francisco Mint, graded a perfect PR70 deep cameo by a major grading service. Its surfaces gleamed like glass, its details were razor-sharp, and it showed no blemishes even under high magnification. On top of this immaculate condition, it possessed a rare striking anomaly, a subtle but dramatic die clash on the obverse that created a ghostly echo of Monticello behind Jefferson's head. This combination of perfect preservation, stunning visual appeal, and unique minting anomaly electrified the collecting community. When it crossed the auction block, bidding erupted into a frenzy. Seasoned collectors and wealthy investors pushed the price higher and higher, and in a stunning finale, the gavel fell at an astonishing $21 million. The humble 2002 nickel had just become one of the most valuable coins in history. This jaw-dropping sale sent shockwaves through the numismatic world and beyond. In the world of numismatics, the thrill of discovery is half the magic. Every coin carries a story, and sometimes, as with the legendary 2002 Jefferson nickel that sold for $21 million, that story can rewrite history. So, the next time you hear the jingle of change in your pocket, listen closely, because one of those small, familiar coins just might be the next great treasure, a tiny masterpiece with the power to change your life.